Madam Chair, we are live and I want to apologize. We have the roof being worked on right now, so there will be noises during our meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. DeBrow. I want to welcome all of you today. Thanks for coming. We'll go ahead and call our regular board meeting to order. Mrs. Belknap, if you would lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you for that. Yes. We're going to excuse Mr. Burtonshaw and Mr. Cottle from our meeting today. The floor will be open for a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Chair, I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Do we have any public comment, Assistant Clerk? Steve Hatton. Mr. Hatton, you can come up to the podium here or where you're seated there. And just remind the audience real quick that input should not exceed 3 minutes and the board will listen to public input without commenting except to ask related questions. Expressions must be appropriate to the public setting. Discussion on personnel matters or personal attacks are not appropriate. You can leave any documents you might have with Mrs. DeGraw. And thanks for coming.
In 2024, I talked to you guys about bidding your coal. And now that year's over, and I'm not trying to be picky, but I want you guys to understand how much you paid for coal versus how much your other options were. I'm sorry. Can I give you this or does it need to go to her? This is a copy of my coal bid, and then I just wrote notes on it of my numbers and your numbers. And basically, it was about $8,400 price difference between what you paid and what my bid would come out to.
Really?
Yes. And now that might not be a big number. $8,400 is a lot of money to me. And I'm not trying to be picky because I really don't want a bid that's with an adversarial customer. But I want you guys to be aware that that's how the numbers came up. Hold those numbers off your website and total them up. So, is there any questions you have? I will say that I did receive a call and I was told that our numbers were pretty much the same numbers, so it really wasn't a price difference. 10% is a pretty large number. I just wanted to make you guys aware of it before the season went in. I don't know if you want to bid for me or not. But the difference between 72,000 and 80,000 is a real number to me.
Okay. Well, as this is not an agenda item,
Correct.
we probably won't be discussing this further in this meeting, but I would encourage you to set up a time to meet with Mr. Williams and discuss it with him.
Okay.
But this is good information. I appreciate you bringing it.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking my time. My number's on here if you want to call me. And I'll get a hold of you at some point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hatton. The floor will be open for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Chair, so move.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. First action item is our spending, purchase, and surplus approvals.
So we have a surplus item that I want to bring up to the board. With our board policy 9100, the use and disposal of school property. In that policy, it talks about the exchange of property. So what we're talking about is a surplus bus that we want to surplus. It says that we can't surplus property in this format, if the majority of the board determines the exchange is in the best interest of the district, the exchange goes to a public entity. And so where this bus has been, we have a charter school that has offered to buy the bus from us. And so where it's going to a public entity, that we wouldn't have to go to a sealed bid process, because one public entity to another. And then no appraisal is needed if the estimate is less than $5,000. And I know in the past, none of our surplus buses have even come close to getting $5,000 in value. We do know that to take a bus to be scrapped at a scrap metal facility would get us $1,000. And so we did have an offer of $3,000 for a bus to be purchased from Blackfoot Charter School. And so does the board have any questions about our policy in this and what I'm asking for?
How old is this bus?
So when we say bus 10, it's a 2010 or 2011 bus. And it is not in order for us, it's not worth it for us to bring that bus up to with repairs to what it needs to be a really good route bus.
So this is just a normal thing we do, is getting rid of
Yeah.
one bus, buying a new one.
Yep. And so this is a normal process. This is a bus that we've had sitting, I believe it's sat for the last 2 or 3 or 4 years even. Nyla, do you have any?
I would say more than that. It's been there for, I bet, 5 years plus.
And so this would be a good one for us, and it's a fair offer for this one. I think it would be the best way to recoup some of that.
The chair will entertain a motion to approve the sale of surplus bus 10 for $3,000 to Blackfoot Charter School.
I'm sure I so move.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. 4.2, the transportation plan.
At the moment that everyone's been waiting for Nyla.
Waiting for me.
So I do have the transportation plan in front of you and as a hard copy to the board if you want to. I'll bring that up, and Nyla, if you want to just talk and highlight the different areas, and I'll scroll on this, and if the board has questions or if you have other things, we'll turn the time over to Miss Hicks. That's okay.
Well, as always, the main goal is always safety first, and we do training and buses are inspected. We hire and retain most qualified drivers. We have some really excellent drivers, I feel like, in our area. We try to purchase best equipment. We try to keep the buses up to date, and we organize routes as efficient as possible and have similar student counts so that one's not overcrowded. And similar pickup times, try to keep everybody on average. This is a list of all the buses of the mileage that they had at the end of the fiscal year this last year. The MCI Panther bus is running well now, it's up and ready to go. We still have our routing equipment on there, the BusRight app, where we program in all of the routes and each driver logs into their own route. And so when we have a substitute, they can just go in and open that up, and so they can follow the route so they don't get lost, they know where they're going. And also the parents have an app to where they can go on so they can watch their own bus so they know where their kids are and when their bus is going to be there in the morning and when they'll be dropped off in the afternoon if they choose to do that. This is a list of all of the drivers and the areas they cover. We cover a lot. Hamer and Montague on all of this, and a list of all of our sub drivers, which we're very grateful for. Eileen started last October and she's taken over a route. Tom Mackey helps us out when he's available. Greg Williams has completed all of his CDL requirements, so he's good to go. We do have certain areas where we have to back up as we go into yards because we're in such a rural area. And there's the list of the buses there and the places where they have to back up. And we try not to do that any more than we have to. Then there's safety busing, which is just anywhere 1.5 miles from the school is called safety busing area. And that's like if you're in town, kids can walk, but we don't have sidewalks or crosswalks or anything here. So we just pick our kids up, but we do have a state report where we file how many students are picked up in that area. And that's about it.
So
Any
they
questions?
that walk.
We do have some that walk that they choose to, from like the trailer court just down the road on the other side of the bus building. We have, but you know, that's the choice because we do have a bus that goes there to pick them up if they want to ride.
Cause I was thinking, there's no sidewalks
No,
at all anywhere.
no, that's, you know, if they walk, that's their choice. There is transportation available to them.
So which one of these buses is the one we just sold?
Bus number 10.
The spare bus mileage.
Yeah, spare bus mileage has 199,000.
Like there's a lot of other buses that aren't any good either.
Yeah, we do have, a couple over there that don't run at all, that have bad engines on them. Some of them is there for parts. Go4 is there because it's the exact same as 05 and we use it for parts when 05 needs something.
You know, when I've talked with Nyla and Greg about the different buses, they do have a plan in place to probably take some to, when they get closer to that, we'll bring them up for surplus to scrap or to sell. But it is finding that balance between sometimes keeping some that you can go out and get parts off. I know when I talked with Greg last week, he went to one of our main route buses. You can only imagine this on the gravel roads. Some of the screws up into the top have come out, and so he was able to go in and get screws out of the buses that aren't gonna run with bad engines and go in there and make the replacements and things like that. One of them is a storage. O1 has the track equipment, so when we do timings for the track events, does say it has a bad engine, but as long as it can get from the bus building over to the track, we're good. And it's not gonna be a bus for students and it won't be put into circulation.
So it looks like about 150 to 70,000 miles is the end of a bus, right? That's about.
You know, 05 has 220 some thousand miles on it and that one runs very well. It does really well. Yeah, we're hitting 200,000 plus, you know, we keep them maintained really well and some of them, you know, some of them are just bigger lemons than others. So.
Is 16. Has 180
And it still runs excellent.
and 8 isn't a route bus anymore, right?
No, it's one that we're,
Looking to surplus, aren't we?
well, we're gonna actually try to put that one in as a spare.
Okay. I know it was one of those that was on the discussion.
It was on, yes, it was on discussion. We have 3 spare buses right now. 13, 5, and 9 are all spare buses that we use right now when another one's being serviced or in shops for some reason.
Okay.
Now, Nedra, I know that you're retiring. Have you ever thought about being a bus driver?
Not even for a minute. Not
You mean
one-
she'll think about it.
That's what I was.
Go for my training. Anybody listening out there?
You don't want me.
We do have an excellent staff.
I
do.
Yes, and good job on recruiting and bus drivers and different things like I hear bus drivers are one of the harder employees in other districts to find and our district's done a good job of finding people locally and we appreciate those that do come out and help with the activity drives and everything and we've been really fortunate here at West Jefferson.
Very much.
Quick question on the bus ride. What's been the feedback you've had from that, from either your drivers or parents?
Parents love it. They love being able to go in, and if they can't get on, if for some reason the driver forgets to turn their tablet on, we usually hear from a parent because they're watching for their kids, so they are using it and they love it. The drivers, the subs love it because they can come, because routes change here and there a little bit, just the people moving and coming in, and the drivers, the sub drivers really like it and they rely on it when they're out helping us. So
Okay.
they like it.
Thank you for that update.
Any other questions from Mrs. Hicks? If not, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the West Jefferson Transportation Plan for the 25-26 school year.
Madam Chair, I so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, good job.
Thanks.
It's moving into policy, is Christie here? For this, do we need to move to?
No, I'm kind of waiting for, we're okay to keep going down the line.
So, we have a policy on here for a second reading.
This is the policy we looked at in July.
So all of these policies here are up for second reading and to be approved. July 9th was the first time that we looked at those and we didn't have any suggestions or add there, but if we do now, we can always push it back for a meeting. So just tell me which one you want to bring up, Madam Chair, and I'll read it for this session.
Just a question on 1500.
Yes.
Item 1, it talks about our annual facilitate goal setting for the school district. Which number? 20.
Annual facility goal setting for the school district, that is what we're doing today with our continuous improvement plan.
Okay, so do we have that set for every?
Every
September?
September, yes, because it's due to the state by October 1.
And we've had it on the discussion. The last 2 board meetings to bring up if anybody had anything else with that, so. So it really is the 2 months prior to September. So are we thinking we need to have, if it says annually, should we be more specific and put in there September? Is that what you're thinking, or do you think annually?
That would be a bad idea. So that it doesn't get overlooked.
Want to do it?
Well, we do have,
We have a state mandate that we have. to
I
That's
do, I do have to have it uploaded to our website and sent into the state department.
Okay.
Or state board, excuse me. By that side.
On next one I have is, does anyone have anything else on? On that one? My next one's on 2320. It's just a grammatical,
Oh, okay.
when it talks about STIs on the last page. It's got a SATI underneath.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, yeah, I'll fix that.
Okay, yep, right there.
And where it doesn't change the context of what's there, we don't need to put it back on our first read.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So on the second to the last paragraph,
Yes.
the superintendent shall require that faculty members who present this instruction receive continuous in-service training. That includes appropriate teaching strategies and techniques. How do we fulfill that?
That's just following the curriculum that the district's already adopted, and so. That's how I would answer
That's
that.
instruction that occurs, and we talk about what they can and can't talk about.
So continuing in-service training, that's just
That's just your regular,
That's just with what
Our regular meetings.
in-service they had. With Christie.
yeah. Cause there is continual training that takes place. In the in-service about appropriate teaching strategies and techniques.
One could also, if I'm okay to say, show up on their evaluations and IPLPs and like the goals they're setting and which you have access to look at of like how they're achieving like their goals and because it breaks it down into like when you talk about like strategies, there's feedback and stuff in the observations and walkthroughs of what we're seeing their move.
Yeah. And to be clear, the board does not have access to the IPLPs of the teachers.
About the final evaluations.
Final evaluations, if it's brought up by me to them. So,
But can't anybody come in and look in their folders?
no.
No.
Not on, that's a personnel, and so that is something that is protected, that's a good question to ask. where people can come in and ask about finances and different things like that, but when it comes to like evaluations and personnel, that is not.
And then maybe
applicable to open.
even, so beyond that, maybe even in their content, like their department heads, they meet and they talk about the content that they're doing.
Yeah,
And I know Amanda does the same thing with, they're a little more curriculum in both ways, but
mhm.
Same question on alcohol,
What number is that?
tobacco and drug education. Next page, top of next page.
Okay.
Um. They receive that education, right?
So in our health classes, there is a unit that is designed around that. I know in years past, we've had all of our teachers trained with the Breathe Right, which talks about the dangers of vaping and tobacco use.
That dare also.
And the DARE will also teach that.
Right, my next one's on 3010. Do you have one before that?
No.
Goes to maximum capacity under that heading.
Okay.
It says that the district shall report at least 4 times during the school year about our capacity limits. It doesn't say to who or who's reporting or.
So so this is a state law that we do report on our website. And so it is updated 4 times a year. Mr. Guimar is the one that is assigned to do that. And that report goes out. There's also a connection that school district funds will be held if we do not report that. So we report it.
Have we ever run across it? Excuse me, a time when we haven't, when we've had maximum capacity?
To this point, no, we haven't.
Well, our days come. Could happen.
Yeah, I don't know. It could happen, but.
The next one I have is 2435.
The regular,
Yes. Third paragraph talks about our executive director. I'm just curious who that is.
executive director, we have a new. Where's that at? Oh, right there, the third paragraph.
That just has to do.
He is acting as the executive director. That's just for the advanced opportunities, and I know that's. Yeah.
Great opportunities
Yeah,
for kids.
yeah, that really is.
Okay, this is almost to the end.
The same
The
one.
Same one, yeah. Says the board hereby directs the executive director. The top of that page. Yep. That a student may challenge a course.
So I'm wondering if this policy is written in a way where the executive director is me. And really, everybody falls under that because the superintendent or designee.
And so we would follow our general grievance procedure in this case.
What, have we ever had a student challenge a course?
Lisa Scott, to your knowledge, have you had anything?
no, and they probably just have to take the final and pass it.
That's interesting.
We move that heading down.
I could see where somebody that knew
Oh,
Spanish
yeah,
very well could challenge a Spanish class.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that we have criteria though, as I'm reading that, it says we probably need criteria developed. I don't know, I've not read anything that says we have criteria to do that.
So what this would do is just direct us as admin to set up the procedures for it, is what this policy is saying. And so we would, if that ever were to happen, we would meet together as admin to establish those.
$23.35. 23.40 is the next one.
Okay, controversial issues?
It just has an optional, on the next page, an optional paragraph number 3, which I thought was a great one. I think we should have it in there.
Well, I know by law, we are required on certain things with the other policies about sex education, those discussions. I think we keep that in there.
Which you-
And I think that's, Mrs. Scott, that's just one of, if there are any topics that present themselves, I think it's okay to allow students to consult and exercise their rights on whether or not they want to be part of that discussion.
How will they know ahead of time?
Part of it's just your teachers have got to kind of understand the dynamic of conversation pieces as well.
A topic they're gonna be teaching that
Yeah.
may cause some.
But I'm not. Any thoughts on that, Mrs. Scott?
Well, I know this year I talked, especially with the law that came down from the state about, like even our Nat and Phys class, that there is an parents have to opt into those things. So I just told, and we've been asked even by the board, like, I think even before Shane here, it was something that they were really concerned about as well as my kid reading. And so in like our English syllabuses, we try to put novels, and I've really encouraged teachers to still continue to do that because I think it's good that parents know what their kids have access to. We know with the library, like an adult can come in and say this book should be up on the adult shelf and parent permission is then required. So we have all of those things in play, but I did tell, and I need to reaffirm, and I'm glad this came up in our board meeting the other day, of just making sure that teachers know when they get to those, even though they put it in their syllabus, that they do need to send a parent permission slip home when they talk about those kind of topics that the state has said parents have to sign for. So when she gets to that unit in a Nat and Phys, it's reproductive system, and that they do talk about some of those things, she's gonna have to send the opt-in note, which means the parent has to sign it. My question is, I don't know what to do if they opt out, but I had one time where a student chose not to, the parent and the student didn't want to read the book, and I just found them another book that was an equivalent. And I think that's what we're gonna have to do, is just be flexible, but the state law has kind of mandated that we have to send those kind of things home. When you talk about controversial and religious, that's hard because I know like in government and stuff like that, like my guess, I hope kids in the high school especially would talk to their teacher if they were uncomfortable, but I think a lot of our teachers at that level view that those are kind of the things we want our kids to be thinking about. But the ones from the state, obviously, when it goes to those areas that encroach on sex education and sexual topics in general, we have to do the opt-in with parents.
So my concern about this, the way it's written as policy though, the teacher will notify parents or guardians before discussing,
It's tough.
like, how do they know? Like, what is the a controversial issue to one student may not be the same to another.
Subjective.
And this is subjective in a way that we're holding a teacher accountable to somehow know the level of tolerance to it. And I'm not trying to say that in a way to justify any teacher in our district to go to the extreme on things to take that to their advantage. But I also wonder, is this protecting the teacher a little bit if the sensitivity level is to an extreme level the other way? I know there's no, I don't think there's any penalty on this one, so this is a policy, so I'm just trying to think if there's a. When this goes into policy, and if a parent or student has issue with a teacher and they wanna come and use this policy. Saying that we're not following it. I guess, where do we go? It would be the grievance procedure, for sure. That they would, but what the word that says the teacher will notify parents or guardians before discussing. Like. On family, religious or moral values, I guess. How do we write that in a way
Is this,
to substantiate?
because number two says the same thing.
Do you know what I would do is maybe just adopt what the SATA said? Cause that's the opt-in, and then if your student is struggling with an issue or a topic, they go to a teacher individually, or the parent does.
So if you read number 2, it says that the school will provide parents or guardians with the opportunity to excuse their child from a topic that conflicts with their religious or moral values.
Same thing.
It's basically the same thing. And then it says students may excuse themselves from a topic if they believe it conflicts with their personal, religious or moral values.
It does feel like the same thing, doesn't it?
It's the same
Mr.
thing.
Williams, can we move this policy back to a first read so that we can hash these things out?
This discussion already is going to. lend
Right,
back
it'll
to
put
that.
us back to a first reading.
Yep, let's do that.
I think so, so it sounds like just as it's a first read, we take the optional out. Tennis, you were the one that brought up maybe that it would be good, how are you feeling about that now? After
I
you
feel
read
like-
it?
Number 2 covers it sufficiently. And the grievance policy where if it were to take place, then you can retroactively get the permission and.
Okay. Good, so that's like 2340 will move back to a first read.
The next one is 2435F. And this might be a question for Mr. Gemar, but maybe Mrs. Scott can help us. This 4125 that each student has to use towards.
Advanced opportunities. Yeah.
Is this a use it or lose it situation?
Yeah,
Yeah, it does not carry over after they graduate.
it's on reimbursement. So if they do something that qualifies for advanced opportunity to pay for it, it will be reimbursed either to us or they will pay for that directly.
And it's typically reimbursed to us because we don't charge the kids.
Right.
The only time we do is if they fail.
But that's just
Bail
for the
would
extra
bail would want
courses.
to be taken.
Yeah, that's the.
If they fail, they're not allowed to take anything else until they,
They have to pay for their next one and then pass it, and then they can pick back up to the advanced opportunities. But it covers like ACT testing, SAT testing, their CLEP tests that the kids have been going to do, I believe, at the college, in Spanish, like. It covers a lot of different things. The kid, I think there was enough, even when, the student last year graduated with their associates, that ended up paying for the whole thing. So.
That was my next question for you. Can you give us some examples of numbers 4, 5, or 6?
Yes, so. In the CTE right now, we get Perkins funding, and teachers are on pathways, so there's the welding, there's the teacher assistant one, there is. Our digital communications, and then there was an ag small engines, which will probably be changing, especially with our new teachers. So after they go through the pathway, so there's about, and typically it can start anywhere from 9 through 12, but they have to take certain courses in that pathway. There's a test that they take that will allow them to get certification if they pass the test. Midas is then the test, we haven't gotten anybody there yet because Don and John quit doing Perkins funding because they felt like the test was impassable. And they just wanted to teach their classes and they felt like they didn't need the funding. So we went back to trying to do it. Last year, would have been our first time to have a student do it in the digital communication, but they didn't end up taking the last pathway class. And so I have to report then that we did offer the class in the pathway. So I fill out reports of like kids who are doing it. And so this year, Debbie's, and what's cool is she actually will have some kids who could potentially take the teaching one. And I'm sure Chandra has some for the welding if they're willing to do it, because they've taken those pathway classes. what it does, it gives them, college credits too, they can earn up to a certain amount of college credits. But we've never had anybody do it yet, so I'm kind of in that learning process, but that's the CTE. Federal and workforce training, this didn't cost kids, and so I am not exactly sure what that is, because we do allow students to go, so ag does, but we've also allowed kids, like, they can go off campus and work and count it as an elective. But they don't have to use the advanced opportunities with that. The only thing that I could think of is if a kid did that and got an internship, but I don't know why they have to pay for that, but maybe if it cost,
Right.
that it would do that, so that's the only one I'm a little unsure of, is number 6, but I know our CTE, it offers different pathways and they can get licensing, and we're just barely getting into that 2-year, so this is the year, and a cool thing is we haven't met yet, but we have a meeting scheduled with our CTE to start talking about, it's called the TAC test. It's a technical skills, or TSA test, excuse me, technical skills assessment, and if they can pass the test. The cool thing about CTE is they'll also give us, like, if they don't pass, because we've never done it before, it'll show like, here's where the teacher needs to go back and address standards that were missed in the test. So it's gonna be a learning curve, but we're headed in a good direction with that, and that'll help pay for the tests that they would take with that.
So did your CNA program fall under the CNA?
Yes,
for
yes,
the
it would.
workforce training?
And I'm wondering if that's, cause they go do that internship, so my guess is good call. That one probably is also funded, but that is considered a CTE. And why I don't connect with that one, cause we don't have a teacher now, we used to have a teacher that did kind of be over that. But we work it through IDLA, and then Mr. Gemar sets up the internship they go do. I'm really curious, and I'll ask him and then get back with you if it pays for like their gas driving in the town or anything like that, or if it helps fund. My guess is it pays for them to go do it. And he's so good at making sure that they're using that money, so, but I can find out about that, but that's probably the in-demand and workforce ones.
Super. Okay. 3010P1. In the very first paragraph. The last sentence says, the board will not admit any student before viewing that student's records from the student's previous school districts. I'm wondering if we need to add the district will not admit, or the board's representative or designee. Or is that already taken place and
I
then the
think
final
it does
decision
need to be
comes?
changed.
The board has to approve that,
Right.
so I don't know if that should be changed or not.
Do you want to review every student's record before they're admitted to be students in our district?
Or should the board only review those that maybe come
No
in,
problem.
maybe there's a conflict, like if it arises to us as an admin team that because we already review all of these as they come in. And generally, like again, in policy, when it says the board's designee will. And so, but the way that this is written, the board will not admit any student
Is it
before.
Cause I thought you had to take any kid that came because of the state's open enrollment law.
No, there
long as you're
are,
already-
There are exceptions.
Really?
there are certain things that can be used to. And especially in law this last year, that was even strengthened that students who were expelled from previous schools. Or there were times that there were students that were on the path to being expelled from a school, but then removed themselves from that process. And the new law indicated that if anybody was being recommended for expulsion in another one, the receiving district can view that as if they were expelled and then not allow them, so. I think this one will move, looks like 3010P1 is gonna move back to first reading.
Yep.
Okay.
Did we not? Oh, yeah.
What were the two that we had 3010P and
2340.
2340 that are going to be back to first review? So on that action item.
We
just
will
make-
remove 2340, 310P1.
Okay.
3010 dash P1.
Alright. Okay, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the adoption of the policies listed above with the exception of 2340 and 3010P1.
Madam Chair, I so move.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. We want to pause before we hit substitute and activity driving.
Are you thinking to maybe allow the students that are here to present to go back? Is that what you're thinking?
What are you guys
We have
doing?
one that's out of class now and one that has a TA right now, so we're fine with.
We're doing A-OK, keep on.
Would you like us to, because we could probably go another 35-40 minutes before we get to you.
Perfect.
Bryn
doesn't like that.
Bryn's out of school now, so she would like to go.
Let's go ahead with you guys then.
Are you sure? So we'll start, let me do so what we'll do is this will be part of the superintendent report. So if I'm able to jump to 5-4 right now, Madam Chair, and then when I finish my report, I'll turn the time over to the student council as part of that report.
Will you stop sharing for a minute?
Okay. We'll pull up your slides that you had.
Go ahead.
Well,
Well, he'll start, hold on,
Well,
hold on.
stay
He'll-
down. I mean,
I'm
sometimes,
sorry, I only halfway listened. Yeah, sometimes.
let's say, I'll invite them up.
William, so you can pause if we start it, so we
Alright.
go through it.
Okay.
Because there are some action slides.
So I sure hope this works on the Zoom. We'll see how that.
I am also putting them on Board Docs as PDFs.
Okay, there we go. So if it doesn't work to the,
Yes.
so I need to go back to share. Share. I know, is that going here? Sorry, those people are, need to clean up my screen. And back to that, okay. All right, so Madam Chair, for you, are gonna go to 5.4 on the agenda. So superintendent report, I wanted to just highlight, and these are the different areas that are on our continuous improvement plan and strategic plan. And so our goal number one that is to deliver a K-12 curriculum that prepares students for success in the workplace, college, university, citizenship in the 21st century. Some good things that are happening here, and principals, if you are here, Mrs. Scott, Ms. Erickson, if you guys would like to chime in, just give me the, like the little nod or whatever. Here are some things that have been going on since the beginning of this school year. So our PLC guiding coalitions are getting together, talking about student learning, how we can be more effective in the classrooms, and with our teacher trainings. Those are things that are going on. Our guidance counselor, we kind of talked about this with the policy review. Mr. Guimar he meets with all students. He talks with them about dual credit options, IDLA, advanced opportunities. I'm starting to see this now with my oldest son. It's kind of neat to see the different opportunities that we have here in our small school district. Professional development, we had special education teachers attend the regionals training earlier this week. And high school accreditation is a big thing. That is going to be is it February?
February is when I turn in all my stuff, and then there will be, they do it all by Zoom now, so people who maybe.
Oh, we'll just look at it that way.
Will be done through Zoom.
So it is a process where we go through the fine tooth comb 35 or
31 standards.
31 standards.
With evidence of all of them and like I'm doing different observations with my teachers about student engagement, and there's a parent survey that I sent out that I'm hoping parents are taking, and the goal is to highlight, but also indicate areas of improvement and write out narratives and.
And all of that is going to be, all of that we're doing just guides us back towards meeting this goal. We're focusing on education. We'll probably have Mrs. Scott come in a couple months and give us an update on that. Fiscal responsibility, we had our financial audit. Oh, go ahead.
Also, some of the programs that we've approved in the elementary. That you came in and
Last
talked to us.
year we talked
I'd like
about
to see
some,
an update on how that's going. Sometime.
yeah, you bet. Like, this is something that I would
Do you
like
think it's
to.
worth it? Is it, are we happy we bought it? Are we doing well, or what's the deal there?
Great. On our goal number 2 with providing responsible oversight, we had our financial audit last week. We don't know about the report yet, but it will be presented to the board in the next regular board meeting, so stay tuned. School environment and safety, we will provide a safe, respectful, and supportive school environment for students, staff, volunteers, and patrons. I believe 2 and 3 do go hand in hand. Because a lot of the projects that we are currently doing on our campus, through the financial portion, lead to the safe environment for schools. And so we've had our lift and level completed. The entryways, the WJ that is on the picture here is in front of the Panther Den. That was actually a donation by the owner of Fifth Street. That was not one that we paid for, and so.
Where is that?
That's in front of the Panther Den over by the gym. Yeah, it's beautiful. We had a lot of compliments on that. And so the only thing that we have left on the overlays would be the stairs at Hamer and here on the Territon campus over Harvest. The roofing has stopped for a little bit. At the beginning of the meeting, you could hear the roofing going during this meeting. Wondered why it was quiet for a second.
Now, is it my understanding this is the last roof we need to do
For right now, yeah.
for a long time?
There might be 1 or 2 sections of the high school that didn't get completed. I'm thinking like over the science room, one portion of the science room, and we may have to look back over. Maybe I don't know if it's the weight room area or something, but other than that, since I've been superintendent, every roof has been covered
That
the last
is
5 years.
a remarkable thing.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal,
And so we are,
as much as they cost.
and they are.
Think about it.
We've been able to do a lot with the funds that our community has allowed us to use. And so the bond that we passed 5 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to have it without that.
True.
And then the facility money is able to go towards that going forward. I wanted to highlight the gravel parking lot by the football field. I know gravel doesn't always sound like awesome. This picture didn't turn out very well, but our maintenance staff has come in and brought in more gravel, leveled it out, cleaned it up. It's looking really, really great out there. Concession stand, I put on here painted by a volunteer, but I will say thank you to our trustee, Andrea Rigby, and her family for coming in and volunteering to do that. It looks awesome. I'm such a guy when it comes to stuff like, I didn't,
Science too?
What?
Did you do the science too?
No, they were on there. That's a nice sense. I just
Looks so good.
the signs just
So
pop now that's there.
Huge improvement.
I didn't even even notice it, and she's like, hey, can I do this? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
It was one of those things.
Looks way better.
It looks great. Our maintenance personnel, Nick McAnally went and painted put a lot of time and effort into the propane tank out there. Mirrors and curtains in the ALC auditorium. And also, do we want to call it something different than the ALC auditorium, you guys?
Yes.
I've heard I don't know, say it.
Chapeltorium.
No, chapel.
Assembly
It's not
hall.
an assembly hall. It's not a
Yeah.
chapeltorium anymore. It used to.
That's a assembly hall, but they're our chairs where you
Okay,
gather.
We should do a naming contest and see if someone can come up with a creative name.
Well, then you have to give it there. I don't know.
I don't even like,
What do
this
you-
building should be named district office.
Well, we do have students that still come here though. And so that is one reason I was kind of against ALC when I first came in as superintendent. But we do have several classes, and so it still is a learning center, and that does. So if we can put a district office and ALC and, I don't know, we won't digress too far on that, but this is what it looks like. The mirrors on the side, I know that the cheerleading team, the drama department will be able to use that as they're putting together dances. I know from a past life of mine in front of a mirror, it helps a lot when you're doing dances to have a mirror in front.
When I coached cheer, we had to pay to rent a space that had mirrors before competition, so this will be a huge,
Yeah,
anyway.
it's great. So the floor, there's a curtain in there. They will be getting a curtain that does come over the mirrors as well, which should help cut down on more of the echoing. Mrs. Erickson, I know that you were in there the other day. I know there's probably still an echo. Was it a little bit less though? I don't know what if you noticed.
Yeah, I feel like it was less, but it was, yeah, it's still echoey.
But we're gonna keep fine tuning that to help with the echoes coming down on that. And then on the docket, we still have the PE changing rooms and bathroom projects are still in process, and so we're architect has come back with the proposal for the first steps, and district is working on that. So when we get more details on that, we'll keep you updated as we go. And then last one is community relations and communications. We're gonna build positive relationships. I do want to thank members of our admin team and others who put together this flyer that went out to all post locations. Yep.
I was gonna say, back on the safety and environment one. We just did a video training in trauma informed
yeah.
educational practices, just like letting teachers know in the elementary and junior high level what how to recognize trauma behavior coming from issues to do with trauma. And some considerations to take in and best practices for helping those students. And it resulted in a lot of, as many insights, as many questions as there were insights for, okay, I want to know more about this and that. So we'll probably include some more trainings throughout the year in helping students with trauma. And so
I'll probably have you come in a future meeting and just give you a full section to be able to present that to the board.
Okay.
On what you did, but that was something that Mrs. Erickson did present to the elementary and junior high teachers as well.
both
So,
elementaries, yeah.
and so it was good feedback that I on that. But thank you. And so I do want to say that we know that not every patron in the school in the district boundaries gets on our website. Not everybody is coming to board meeting. I know these two high school students are here because they love it today. And but we do have our these streamed live. They are saved. People can go back to it. These are all methods for us to connect with community members and have them be part of what we're doing here at West Jefferson. And so with that, we do have some fun events coming up the next couple of weeks here at West Jefferson. A ribbon cutting ceremony that we're going to have with our brand new Bank of Commerce football field. And then also homecoming. And so with that, I will turn the time over to our leadership students that came in, and Mrs. Dowling, if you want to introduce your students here and turn the time over to them.
You're gonna come up too. All right, to have our slides start off. Our students are student body president Brinley Bitter and student body class council member right now, Paisley. We vote on class council members in the end of the school year, and then after homecoming, the class council members and the student council vote on who will be the president, vice president. So if they run just to not do anything, it's very obvious and they may not be president. So I think the last 2 years we've done it that way. This is the third year. And it really has been amazing to me how they have found their places where they fit within it. Like they know what their role is after homecoming. Like if they want to step up and be president, they know if they want to be maybe just social media, and they find their strengths. And we've had one time that we had to have a vote from the student council, had to vote. But other than that, it's been the whole class decided and been very positive. And I've really appreciated that. Anyway, so Paisley right now is just student council member that was available. Okay, when we started back to school highlights for us, we did start our leadership class. helping Paisley plan her senior project. Her senior project is the ribbon cutting ceremony. So our student body president the year before helped with our, did our 4th of July fundraiser for Hamer. And we didn't do the Hamer dinner this year. Instead, we're doing a fundraiser at the ribbon cutting. We're in charge of concessions that night. Anyway, and also planning homecoming. Next slide. Maybe.
It's going.
Oh, there we go. So our theme for, you can pause it maybe. Our theme for, I'm not reading the whole thing, for leadership this year is stay in the arena. We read the first week of class about The Man in the Arena by Teddy Roosevelt. And in leadership, it's hard to hear, why don't you do this? Why aren't we doing this? The complaints, and it happens in life forever. So it's a good skill, but we're trying to remember that we're staying in the arena. We're there working, we're trying to do stuff, and we want to stay in the arena and focus on the job that's in front of us. And the ones that everyone's opinion does matter, but when we're there working together, that's the most important goal that we have. So that stay in the arena is our thing for this year for leadership. And then we'll turn the time over to Paisley for her ribbon cutting ceremony, and then after that, Brindley will discuss homecoming.
Great, thank you.
Okay, we do have a theme for our ribbon cutting ceremony this year. It is, oh, you don't have. that.
Well, it's on the next page. You just talk about what it is first.
Okay, so the ribbon cutting ceremony, we just got the new turf and the Bank of Commerce donated a bunch of money, and so we're representing them and recognizing them and thanking them for all of their donations. And so we have a giant ribbon that's coming, and then we've got
It's
a
here.
medium, oh, it's here. Medium-ish size pair of scissors.
Big.
Big enough scissors.
Big scissors.
Big enough
They're
scissors.
just not.
And, and we're thinking of having the class come down and having them be there because of the class that 18 years.
2007.
So
First team.
The first team played on the turf, the first
the
turf.
first turf
They're inviting the 2007
class to come and
Football
be a
player
part of
and
that.
coaches.
So it's recognizing them in the Bank of Commerce. New turf, new era, St. Panther Pride is kind of the theme of this whole Friday. We are in charge of concessions. We'll be
You're
running
on
all
the
of the
next one.
concessions. And then we are doing face painting, like a face painting table for all the little kids so they can get fun face paint for Panther Pride. And then we'll be having bouncy houses for the kids that student council paid for already. That will just be out there. And then it is a fundraiser for student council. We already briefly touched on it. We didn't have our 4th of July council money coming in, so we had to have a new one. And this is it. That was it for me.
Questions?
Is there any questions?
Who's in your ribbon cutting ceremony? Who have you got out there?
So we still have to discuss it because the 07 class hasn't gotten back to us yet on who wants to actually come.
Aren't they holding the ribbon?
They're holding
Yeah,
the
we're
ribbon,
holding the ribbon,
and then we need
but
to
we
meet
haven't
with
gotten back to
Mr. Williams and see, we have a list of different people that we need to finalize. Bank of Commerce wants to be out there.
Right.
If
And
you
Bank
have
of Commerce
suggestions,
has a table coming.
Bank of Commerce will have a table there. They're doing some giveaways, doing some fun activities also. But we are open, if you have people that you think of, like school board members, if they want to be out there, admin, if they want to be out there, football coaches. Tanis said, can I please hold the middle of the ribbon? And I said, Tanis, you get to be on the side, not the middle. Cause she liked the light shining right on the spotlight. But we are open to, we have a list to discuss with Mr. Williams. It just did not happen yesterday. Or we had some other things to take care of, but
We've been
We
worried
have-
about homecoming, so this
That's next
unfortunately is pushed back a little bit.
we do have a list of people that we'd like to reach out to make sure. So if you have ideas of people that you think should be there.
And who's coming from Commerce Bank? Did you say that?
I'm not sure who it is. I think they're gonna have more than one. I've talked to, they have a marketing team that I've been speaking with, and then Laurie that's helped do the stuff. So she said someone will be there, so I'm not sure who it will be, but they know the ribbon cutting will be at 6:30 before the varsity game.
Okay, and this is next week, right?
This is
This week.
this Friday.
Oh, it's this Friday.
Oh, don't worry, we're ordering the groceries today, everything's gonna be great.
It really is great. We have paint here, we have the blow up ready, we have the food menu ready, we have Paisley's mentor is Carrie, so every line has been crossed that we're even worried about. Our thing that I had a list of things to discuss with Mr. Williams before our meeting yesterday, and then pictures went longer and we didn't get over here before.
And there will be a football game. It's the way-
Somewhere in the middle of all of that, there was a football game.
And JV
The
game
ribbon-
varsity.
The ribbon cutting ceremony is at 6:30. So right before varsity.
Awesome.
And it might.
It could be bumped back.
It could be
Yeah,
It could be
bumped
bumped back.
just a little bit,
The
yeah.
coaches could totally tell us, hey, don't do it, and you know what,
We would still do it.
they,
It won't, no, it's gonna happen.
yeah.
It will happen, it just might be a little later if like JV goes longer or something.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
But it's happening. That band will be there, cheerleaders will be there. It's gonna be a great party. If you'd like your face painted, Nedra, come on over. We might have some glitter.
Keep that in mind.
Okay, put it on the docket.
Really, was Mitch Bitter in the first class to play on that
He
field?
was indeed.
We'll have to make sure he's there.
We will make sure he's
I like
not answering his phone.
Mitchell's avoiding the phone calls right now.
I think he knows it's
I
coming.
don't know, I was out at football practice last night and Coach Higgs was exercising the younger kids and I saw quarterback Mitch Bitter from,
Days back.
he was still moving down the line. He's a
It's getting older, slower, but.
little bit old. Hey, I'm not gonna, I only made it 14 yards before my hammies went out, so.
He tries.
I was impressed. I wanted to get my phone like he might go down. Then
He was looking sore for it.
so that's gonna be this week
Yes.
and moving into homecoming then.
Yes, homecoming next week. Our homecoming 2025 theme is
This is fun.
little preview.
Something to do with.
Don't worry, it's coming. Okay, our theme is Welcome to the Wild West Jefferson. So kind of like off the Western theme. Still.
Wind blowing in that. Okay.
Yep, it sounds cool with the music that we had at the assembly last.
We did have the good, the bad, the ugly playing at the assembly.
But girls grade 5 years now.
But these kids even know that movie though.
But they know the music.
They do.
We only needed the song. So here is our homecoming calendar. We posted it a couple different places and we'll make sure after this ribbon cutting ceremony and everything, we'll make sure it's really posted and everyone knows, but, and we'll have little posts for every day, the different activities, but Monday night is Powder Puff and the Taco Tailgate at 7. And then Tuesday night, we're just having a movie night for the high school students. We have like a little drive-in movie, we're gonna call it, and that will be at 7 p.m. And then volleyball at Ledor. Wednesday is Buff Puff at 6:30 p.m. Thursday is volleyball at home, cross country at Harriman. And Friday is football game versus Parma. Jake will start at 3, varsity will start at 6. And then Saturday, we have the homecoming street dance, we're calling it. We're just gonna do it outside and we'll have mechanical bull and different things. We're hoping that this year, it's not just like a junior, senior kind of, you have to have a date and come. We're hoping that freshmen and sophomores, whoever wants to come, can come and just make it like, so. That's the.
We're gonna have some line dancing instruction too, so it's gonna be fun.
8 to 10? Is that what that?
Yep, 8 to 10.
Oh, actually 8 to 11.
8 to 11. We started it a little earlier.
That
Most
was
of
a
our
pre-
dances, we started at 9, but we started it earlier, so we have 8
So
to 10.
10:30, that's what that says.
Also, should we point out that the taco tailgate
Oh,
is,
yeah.
the taco
the
tailgate
Booster
is not
Club-
paid for this year.
The-
So you, if you're coming, you have to bring your own money from tacos.
In the past, the Booster Club has paid for the tacos, but it's been a lot and they're helping with some other things, so.
And Silo Sips will also.
But it's still gonna be a minimal cost for the tacos, it's not gonna be.
Are they gonna have
Stylo Sips will be there,
one taco wagon or do you have two?
They're-
taco
they only have
wagons?
one.
Okay,
the same one they've had the last couple of years, and it's been great.
I just know, maybe the lines were extremely long last year because it was free and anything.
People came back multiple times.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
There's another page, I think, after. one more.
I had a question. So with the 6:30 start for Buff Puff, that's because we're still talking about moving the junior high volleyball game earlier to 3 o'clock. Okay, just making sure, because there might be some people that are doing that. And then, and I don't know if it's been finalized or not, Mrs. Scott, do you remember is the Parma game gonna be moved up an hour?
We asked today,
Stay,
3 still,
staying at 3.
that's what we were told by Raquel,
Okay,
and we did ask today.
perfect. I know that was a conversation we had. I think
No.
three's better for us with all of our different activities. Okay, let me hit the play button. Man,
And then our last thing that we're doing, we've done this, I think this is the third year that, we've done this, or maybe second or third. Anyway, so we have the senior class and the first grade class, do a little spirit walk. The first graders will start at the 20-yard line, we start at the end zone, and we meet at the 50. And the seniors just give the first graders a little gift. It's a good thing to be a Panther, and we want them to get excited for, just different things. I don't know, just high school and being able to look up to us. So anyway, we'll have that Monday afternoon. Last year we did it with the whole school. They were all invited, but this year we're just going to invite the senior and the first grade class. We'll make sure parents are invited and whatever that way, but yeah, just those classes. Oh, and then Panther Olympics. We're trying to make this again another community thing, not just a high school thing. So we know that the elementary doesn't have school Friday, or on that Friday, but parents are still advised to come, want them to wear their spirit gear. So that will start at 11 a.m. go to about 1. That is it. Any questions or anything?
I just was gonna add, the elementary is doing dress up days too. Student council,
We have that on there.
tried to pick up some things. Like they did the JAMA Day along with the high school. Then I just asked the student council to be mindful of young moms with lots of kids and what is realistic for them. Like teenagers have income sometimes, and so they were really good. They picked favorite color day for Tuesday and Wacky Wednesday, crazy hair, crazy outfits, crazy socks, whatever you want to do.
that's your junior high.
The
In elementary.
junior high
Elementary.
the council picked for the whole building. So Blythe has already put that on our Facebook page, so we're doing different dress up days than what they are. But like on the Thursday will be the student day for elementary.
Perfect. Any questions for our student council members?
You guys on the mechanical roll.
In our dresses and all. Guys are ready to wear
Wearing shorts and boots,
Yep.
it's gonna be great.
Right.
So I have a question for you. Outside of this, how are you trying to encourage school spirit at various game events?
That is a good question.
We-
So this Thursday, we decided we're doing a pep rally assembly. We're trying not to call it assembly. We feel like people get like bored out of that. So anyway, we're doing like pep rally. We're wanting all the sports teams to be recognized. We're gonna have them wear their uniforms, jerseys, cheer uniforms, whatever. We'll have the cheerleaders do a little cheer, teach the school, and just kind of get people excited for that. That way, I think for me, at least, I think the biggest thing is in the leadership class, we have to show up to the games. We have to do the themes that we're doing. Like that has to be where it starts, because if not, no one's gonna buy into it. We also realized today during class that we haven't been making canvas as good as we were last year, so we're gonna start making canvas for all the games and making sure that they actually get out. Because we neglected volleyball last night. Luckily, there was a decent crowd, but we're trying to make sure that we get all of our canvas out. Start again.
It's just been a busy 2 weeks with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ribbon cutting and project and then homecoming planning. It takes a lot. And then after that, like they'll get in there.
We kind of got like super prepared for the football games, and then we were like, oh wait, I forgot. Yeah,
You've done a good job.
thank you guys.
Come see the hallways next week.
Yes.
Hallways will be done Monday, and they're gonna be, you wanna tell them the different hallway things?
Seniors are rodeo, juniors are Wild West, like Old West saloon type thing. Sophomores,
That's the one we jump right
That's for real life.
sass. Take that how you will. Sophomores are ranch, correct? And then freshmen are farmers. I don't know. They're
No.
doing really good.
They're making like stick animals, like by hand, they have barn doors.
They put on their group meet every
Freshman event,
every day.
Mascot in high school.
they're so,
Really,
they're taking this, they've had meetings at lunch in the library around the table, planning their powder puff teams. Buff
they've
puff
been on
teams,
their group
decorations.
meet every day for the past.
I'm on their group
weeks.
meet, it's been a treat. Anyway, they are excited, but feel free to come stop by and look at it if you guys would like a tour. Third hour is leadership class. We have multiple leadership kids that would love you to come by and give you a tour if you'd like to come.
Okay, anything else?
No.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
You should have told them about it.
Although we are doing them.
Oh, yes.
Andrea, that's great. Andrea,
Let me
that's
walk
great.
past it.
Thank you of school spirit.
We're doing service projects this year, which has been neglected the last couple of years due to weather and just kind of poorish planning. But this Friday,
They were organized. We just had terrible weather the last 2 years.
okay,
It's my niece, I apologize.
we have the service projects. We're gonna talk to Andy tomorrow during class.
Already talked to him.
Okay, well then, thanks for giving class on that one.
Yeah.
We'll have service projects on Friday next week.
Like what?
That's a great question, Andy.
I'll tell you, because
Feel
Annie
free-
texted.
Feel free to talk
Um,
to Andy without us.
Well, no, we have this spreadsheet already. We will be filling weeds, we will be painting panther paws going in, like the ones we've done the last couple of years. We have a spreadsheet that they've done for multiple years. Mrs. Bell takes a group out, they put the panther in shape in the fence. They will be doing baseball and softball cleanup around the area out there. Andy asked litter pickup, hallway, tearing down the hallway decorations, making sure everything's put away and cleaned up, everything's set up for the game. Andy's looking around for a few more projects, but I think that they'll be able to do a lot of
How
different
many
things.
kids are in your class, your leadership?
It will be the whole school that will do the projects.
Oh, the whole
Cause there'll be
school.
service projects broken into groups, so like there'll be a teacher advisor over each group, and then we have an hour and a half, I think, set aside in the morning for service projects before Panther Olympics, and then we'll go to Panther Olympics.
No partying until you work.
There will be classes and people will be learning next week.
There will be lots of learning.
Yes, there will be learning
Friday
Monday
is-
through Thursday.
Friday is the only day that we do that, but we just feel like service, when you have to make the space you're at, it makes you better citizens, and we wanted to bring that back.
And
That also helps with a little bit of camaraderie and pride.
and one of the things we haven't talked about, it's on our agenda. We do want to discuss whether and finalize a board barbecue for all the students on Thursday, the 18th. And so that's something that we haven't, so that might be slammed into the middle of that, but it would be great because the weather is usually better now than it is in May. And so we'll hit that part later on.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we will go back up to 4.4, substitute and activity driver pay rate.
And thank you for letting the students go first on that. That is good.
Friendly system too.
Two proposals that I have, two different ones. One's for the substitute teacher pay rate and the other is for the activity driver rates. These have not been increased for several years. Current rate is $95 per non-certified or $105 for certified per day. I really wish, and kind of not joking, kind of being serious, I wish we could pay our middle school, junior high substitute teachers double this every single time. Maybe we could get something done. It is very hard. So I think this is at least a proposal from my side that I am proposing to bump it up by $15 per day for them. So it would be 110 for non-certified and 120 for certified. A long-term sub is if somebody's in there for more than 10 days in a row. When that happens, those teachers, even though they are subbing, they do take on more responsibility, and so that pay is necessary in a long-term situation.
Where's that coming from?
It comes from general fund. Is that what you're asking about? Yeah, our sub funds come from general fund.
And you feel like we've got
Yes.
what we need.
Yeah, it does need to increase. Where these are the last two things that haven't increased since the last 5 years, and with inflation and everything. What we're getting to is a point where, as hard as it is to find a sub, and then also for how hard the job is, sometimes it's nice to have, at least I'll be able to get this much, and hopefully that will keep.
That's not a bad pays.
No, it's not, but it is work.
Yes, I know.
It's a lot of work and sometimes more stress than what it's worth. No, wait, it's perfect. Those of you that are listening and think about being a substitute.
It's worth it.
Highly
Walk in the
recommend.
park.
But we are grateful for those that are on our sub list and thankful for them. And so that's where I'm at. I don't know if you guys have any questions. I did put a couple of just clarifications here. Classified substitutes, which would be substitutes for paraprofessionals, because it's for an hourly position, is going to be reimbursed hourly for them. So if I come in to sub for a paraprofessional, I'll be paid an hourly rate based on the current classified salary schedule. And that will just be kind of negotiated with them. If it's somebody who's a certified person, it's gonna be all the way down to the bottom, just things like that. And if other thing in this is more just for clarification for procedures in the district. If a current employee or a current paraprofessional is assigned to substitute in a classroom, we will look at that day of work and pay them the greater. Maybe their pay scale is higher than a sub, but if it's less, we're gonna pay them the whatever they get benefited the most on that.
Well, how can they leave what they're doing to be a sub?
A lot of times it's just changing. Sometimes we have students who work with a certain paraprofessional and that student is absent that day. And that frees up a person to change. Other times
Because if you're getting a sub for a para.
and you're right, and sometimes, this was our discussion at the admin meeting earlier this week. We can't look at this, distill from one group to
Right,
the other.
yeah.
And so it might not always work, but sometimes it does, just depending on the situation. Any questions on that or discussion?
Now the chair will entertain a motion to approve the proposed classroom substitute teacher pay raises. Pay rates, sorry.
Madam Chair, I so move.
Is there a second?
A second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, thank you.
So,
It's SIP.
no, one more.
Oh, just kidding.
Let's do
Activity drivers.
Activity drivers then.
I wanna talk about this.
Activity drivers, similar conversation. We haven't increased the driver rates. How it works for our activity drivers is we pay them a flat rate. And currently it's $12 per hour, and that is the driving and waiting period. And so, just for information, our regular route drivers at the lowest come in at $18 an hour when they're actually driving behind the wheel.
Oh, we got nowhere with this salary.
So it's a good question, because as I've talked with, and this was even with Mr. Pincock. Instead of just paying them to drive to the school, like, so if I'm taking a group to a wrestling tournament and I drive, we could pay them the higher rate from the time they leave the school to when they get to the other school. But then they kind of are on call if I take the kids to a place.
Their time is being taken.
Their time is, but what they've looked at is they've tried to find a balance between the amount. So when it was $12 per hour, our base pay for our bus drivers was about $16.
Yeah.
And so we really haven't bumped it up. Now, when we bumped up to 18, it really is necessary to move that up to 14. And so that's why you look at that, but sometimes there are more time waiting in a gym than driving, and so we're trying to find a balance to help pay for somebody's time. But
I'm surprised that they don't make what they make on their bus.
I think this will change it though.
14 is still way less than where they are.
And
But
probably,
these are hours that they're not driving, so it's like the whole time that
They're
they're.
just sitting. They're not able to do anything else. We're paying for their time to do this. Doesn't matter whether they're driving or not,
Are
as
you-
far as I'm
so what's
concerned.
I'm trying to understand your point, like, are you,
Like they should just be paid the same salary they get paid for driving the school bus to the kids the whole time they're gone. Is that too much?
It's a lot of money, cause sometimes these trips are 14 hours a day.
it really would be,
I'm surprised you get anybody to do it.
Well, but you would have a hard
oftentimes-
time keeping people on the routes if it paid that well.
Yeah,
like. And that's the balance too that they were saying is, you
Well,
don't want them to not take routes and just only do activities, but you also wanna make the activity worth it, because at the lower rate, they weren't. Like, they were making less money than what they would have if they had just stayed on the route.
I think there's been some situations from, I'm understanding you correctly, Nedra, is there are times that people wouldn't want to leave the route to go do activity drivers because they're gonna make less. And we had, we had several experienced bus drivers where they are on the lower end of the pay scale, that was correct.
Yeah.
And so we're hoping that this will adjust that. Now, not everybody wants to do activity runs either.
I know, I would think that you'd be begging people to do that.
But we actually, at this time, we're very fortunate and we have people that are asking for more.
and oftentimes it's because they have a family member participating
I
in,
would
like,
think.
like we have
That's
people, they go watch their grandkids or their kids,
Yeah,
or they
I
like
think
to take
that these are-
certain sport because
Cause
their kids.
otherwise,
did it,
why
so
would they want to?
They like to watch. And they do get it free to those events and.
Like I said, those that retire, we talked about you getting a bus, you could
You
go.
don't want your kids on.
So do you think $14 an hour is a step in the right direction then?
It's a step in the right direction.
That's something like I'll visit with Mrs. Hicks later on to see where we're at, but I'm thinking that,
It's the same. What, that
Yeah.
pay,
we wanna find something that balances it, but if we were paying their main amount for every single hour that they were
how
gone,
about while they're driving and then lower the other part?
I don't know how that would, that makes it more complicated because usually what will happen is they drive to the school, they stop, they let the kids off. And then they take the varsity kids to go get something to eat at the gas station before their game that starts later on.
Yeah.
And so then you count that for a half an hour drive, 35-minute drive back to the school. It really does complicate the process of time clocks.
As long as getting people to do it, I guess that's.
As of right now, I haven't heard of any frustration. I think they'll be very appreciative of a $2 per hour raise on that. But I haven't heard it to the extent of like, even with $12 an hour, we were
Cause
still
in my
getting.
memory, I can't remember ever talking about this salary for drivers for away.
It's probably been that
I think it's been that long.
probably been that one for,
And I never even thought about it. I just assumed,
it was before my time
Yeah,
as
I
superintendent.
just assumed that they were always just making their hourly rate and then when
So,
they're sitting, waiting, that they didn't make anything. They just got paid to drive
Yeah,
and then they gave their time, but I didn't realize it was.
if that was the case, we would find zero drivers. Yeah,
so it was $10 an hour when you came.
Ten,
It was $10 an hour when he became superintendent.
so we have talked
And
about
then
it.
3 or 4 years ago, when we increased the sub rate, we increased the driver rate to 12.
Okay, well, it must not.
we probably didn't talk about this individually. It was
Yeah,
probably with the
so-
other rates.
Yeah.
Well, if there's no further discussion, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the proposed activity driver pay rate.
Chair, I so moved.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you. Now, we can talk about the SIP.
Okay, let's do it. So I'll just pull up the action item really quickly and then. So, and this is the annual process of this that we talked about during the policy. So on October 1st of each year, as pursuant to these codes, we do need to upload our strategic plan / SIP or continuous improvement plan. And so this plan is not, this is a plan that we do update and we do revisit it throughout the year. So this is a combination of a strategic plan and an improvement plan with academics that we discussed. And so the different elements that are on there, some of them are required by the state board and some of them are not. And so mission and vision, I really love our mission statement. I think it explains who we are, what we're working for, the different beliefs that we have. We've seen this a lot this last little bit. Students attending West Jefferson have many academic, extracurricular, and social opportunities. Now, sometimes schools get painted in the picture of, oh, well, you're gonna be everything for everyone. We can't be everything for everyone. But we can do the very best we can with our small school. And so we've seen kids that, like, I don't know of other schools that have both a band and an orchestra. Like our drama department does an amazing job with that. Athletics have been competitive. And sometimes we're not, but it still gives kids opportunities for different things. There's lots of different involvement that we have in the community from the different groups that come in and give us feedback. And so the strategic plan goals, and these were ones that I highlighted also in the superintendent report today, with the different things on teaching and curriculum, fiscal responsibility, school environment, community relationships. This goes into more detail on the things that we've done and are doing and continuing to do. And so these things can be added to as we go along. If there's something more as we meet as board in our board meetings, that can be added to any of these things. But I do feel like this has helped us, especially now that I'm speaking 6 years in as superintendent. It's really guided us, and I do want your feedback as a board. When I was hired as superintendent, this was one of the first things you asked me to do. Please ensure that we have a continuous improvement plan and strategic plan. And Nedra and Tanis, you guys were the two that were new from that time. And it just how has this helped us moving forward? You don't have to talk about what it was before, but like moving forward, has this been a good thing for us?
It's not even comparable. It's been wonderful, wonderful. We didn't have a continuous improvement plan that we could look to for anything. I mean, as I recall, I remember back how bad it was.
But you don't have to talk on that. I just like going forward, we feel like it gives us direction. And
Well, I like the 4 different categories because that encompasses everything. I mean, I can't think of anything that doesn't fit in one of those.
I agree with Kendra. It's night and day, and it's so nice to have direction. So behind you, I love our mission statement and our vision.
So as we look at those different areas,
It gives us a chance to figure out what we need to ask you to do too,
right.
for next year.
Right, and so it really does, this is the work that we do, and we are continuously doing that.
This is where I go when I try to figure out what we need to work on now.
Right. And so the strategic plan talks about the facilities, whereas in going into the continuous improvement section, it talks about different metrics. Now, this is one where as we have discussions about metrics and numbers, where when the state gets to choose the metric and the number, that kind of creates the dialogue of the whole discussion. And that's going to be something that as I bring up and talk about right now, as we move into that, the state was the one that came up with these required sections. You can see that I left required on there. I can change their template how I want to, but this is their required portions. And so the first portion is a 4-year graduation rate. Now, some people will argue that maybe graduation rate is the single most important part of how are you doing as a school. And so we always want to have 100% in everything, but we also know that realistically 100% is not going to happen in everything that we do. So the right hand side is our chosen goals. Now these were ones that I initially just came up with, as we talked over the last couple of years that we've done this, is I take where we were at and I just add kind of where I think we can get to. So they aren't just numbers that were thrown out there randomly. And possibly I could increase the 90% on this part here, because our goal last year was 90%. And the reason why the red number, if we go to the state report card, which is on this right here, and I will pull that up here in a little bit, show you where I got that number from. But the state report card shows us having an 88% graduation rate.
We didn't quite make it.
And I'll explain why I put the 93 on there. So if we go to the performance on our report card, success indicators and graduation rate, it has us at 88%. The state was at 82% last year for their amount, so we are higher than where the state was at. So let me go back to this. Nope. No. Sorry, too many things in front of my.
You just need to hit your back arrow on your state report card thing.
Oh, I do, don't I? Thank you, Christy. I probably should have that one opened up in a different one, really is what I should do. I'm talking about that, then I can toggle back and forth. Thank you. So going to the, and I won't take line by line on every single one of these, so it would take forever, but I do want to talk on this one. So this is one way that sometimes data can be either misconstrued or looked at differently or adapted. And I think that's the key point is, as we look at this, we need to make sure that we are looking at it through that lens. And so the 93.5 is, when I called Mr. Guimar and I asked him, okay, let's go into the IC program and look at our exact numbers. And they show you the list of students. And we can actually appeal and say that student, we know it to a different school, and here's the proof. This student here didn't do that. And so he has 3 students that we are currently appealing that we have 100% information that should change that number. But if you went to look at a news report at a given time, they're going to come in and say, oh, a school could be at this level, even though we have the rest of the story on that. So we think we should be at 93.75%. And so that's why I have that one on there.
Well, if that's the case, then wouldn't you go higher for your?
I should. I
target?
probably should put 94%. That's one thing that I probably should change on this one.
And can I ask a quick question? Because my understanding is kids who can stay longer but graduate with their class, also, like if they decide to stay, do not count as being graduated even though they graduated.
Yep.
So that affects our special populations that.
Yeah, so if you have a special population that
They,
special ed students in certain circumstances are guaranteed to be there till 21. But if they don't graduate with their cohort, those students are
leave.
counted again. So we have to look at this data and go, why are we not 100%?
you'll never probably get it.
We know our populations. There might be some times where everything aligns, but
Yeah, I didn't expect 100%.
there's times though that, and I'll talk about this more when we start getting into like ISAT proficiency scores, because that's what's going to be a lot of these other topics going down. We have to keep in mind, what is it really assessing? And what does the research really say about those results? And how much emphasis that we should put into it. My summary is that when it comes to ISAT scores, just because a score is high doesn't mean the school is a great school. And just because it's low doesn't mean it's a poor school. There's a lot of things in between there that we have to look at that attribute to those scores. And research shows that there's zero research showing that an ISAT score indicates that you will be successful in college and career. And so if there isn't a research, you say, well, why do we even have these scores? This was a federal mandate back in the Bush era on No Child Left Behind that says schools or states must test their kids. And so when that mandate came out, states started putting together tests to test kids. Idaho has put a test together, but these scores aren't really connected to really anything else. But they are more, in my opinion, a political score than they are an academic score. We as a school have a lot of other things that can help us improve student learning more than these actual scores. But that puts me in a really tough situation as superintendent. Because on one hand, I am the academic leader of the district. And I represent our school. And when our numbers come in low, we are in the news as being low. And that I don't like that either. And so as I meet with my admin team, we are not in the camp of saying we're going to ignore these scores at all costs, but we're also not in the camp of these scores are the most important thing for our entire district moving forward. It's somewhere in the middle, and we're finding that, and we're going to look for ways to look at that because you look at that, and I'll go to the next one because you can see here the red ones, these are our scores. They're lower. They're not great. You can see though that we did exceed it in some of them. In the 6th grade growth, we were higher. Students are proficient higher than our goal. Those were our goals. They're lower than what the state. So now if I move to the next one down, and this is one you guys have these in your packets.
Yeah.
So this will be important for you to look at your packet because in your packet, we'll attach this a little bit later. You have the 2005 data and the 2004 data. And so on the screen, you're not going to be able to see what I'm talking to right now, but the green I highlight as probably our strength areas that we had last year. In the 2005. Again, this is one test from at one point in time, and it's a snapshot. And when we're trying to find like patterns and say, well, what's better, what's different? Like some of the reasons why I highlighted some of these is because they improved each year. As I came back and looked at the data, lots of classes, they improved from 5th graders to 6th graders. But if we are only looking at data from the continuous improvement plan based on 6th grade, 6th grade, we're looking at different years of kids that pass through that grade level. And that doesn't give us useful information. But if we have that 4th grade class that did better when they were in 5th grade, and then when they were 6th grade, they did just a little bit better, and then in 7th grade, they did a little bit better, that gives us a better picture, but none of the required things from the state are showing us that. So I wanted to show it this way. So we do have improvement. Looking at you can see the screen part that I highlighted with the class of 32. So that's 5th grade of the class of 32. When the class of 32 was in 4th grade, they scored lower than that. So they improved. I think that's a benefit. The one that I do want to show that really blows my mind, and you can't see it on the screen, but you can see it on your handout. The class of 29, when they were in 7th grade, when in math, they were at 40.5. That was nearly as high as the state proficiency level. And their adequate growth was above the state. When they were in reading, they were quite high in their growth. But when you look at them right now on here on the class of 29 in our 8th grade, our lowest scores in the entire district. So they had the same teachers. They have the same curriculum. We have to look at and say, did we
Not
get
the same attitude.
They didn't have the same attitude on that one. So when you look right there,
Yeah.
they were at those scores
Right.
to less than 34, less than 17.
Oh, what happened?
That's exactly what those are the things that we talk about. And so we need to figure out a way to either motivate students differently, encourage them, but also be realistic that sometimes it's just out of our control on what happens, because I know that our curriculums didn't make learning stop during that time. But if you're looking just at the test scores, that's what it looks like. And then with the data, I do like to highlight, like when you look at the high school, the class of 26, because of the sample size, they didn't have an exact number. But it was at or right below 67%, which the state average was 53. Our high school kids, by the time they leave, we've seen this year in and year out. They're maturing, they're showing more. I think that a few things that's helped the high school kids pay more attention is that the state did allow the ISAT to be used as an entrance exam for college. So if you are proficient above, you can apply to college directly without taking any other tests in Idaho. For Idaho schools. But that's not recognized in other states. Again, it goes back to the value of that. So that's, I want to pause on ISAT scores, because I've done most of the talking. Questions, comments, concerns, after I've already shared my preface on things.
I know that we wanted to improve math, and it looks like those math scores are not too bad in most places.
And want to speak on that, Amanda?
No, you're not wrong. To me, we're not where we want to be. Almost every, like,
Can't hear.
Yeah.
in almost every subject matter and grade level, we went up from where we were last year. So that's encouraging to me. We're not where we want to be in the end, like, and where we want to stay, but I do feel like, I mean, to have increase in a year when it was 2 brand new curriculums is incredible. Like, our teachers worked so hard last year, and they're working so hard this year, but this year they're more familiar with our curriculum, with the exception of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade ELA. They did get that new curriculum. Thank you, by the way. We added them into the ELA program, and they did their training, but have been able to start out the year with that instead of, well, no, that's not true. They start the year with the Patriot Pen as a writing assignment. And so that's like their pretest for writing is the Patriot Pen. But yeah, I do feel like it's making a difference, like having better, and this is like the big deal. Bridges is what everybody's talking about. It's cool to sit in the classroom and listen to, like, especially Mrs. Reeder. She's really good, and Miss Allen. They're really good at doing the student directed learning and like helping them think of math problems from a variety of perspectives, because everyone does think a little bit differently. And so it's interesting to see the kids, the light bulbs coming on, and the different people saying, well, I figured it out, because they're not just talking about, well, the answer is this. It's, I figured this out by doing this. I counted these down and I counted these sideways, and then I did the multiplication, and other people are like, well, there was like this many chunks of 10. Like, it's really interesting to listen to the students realize there's more than one way to solve a problem. And that's with these tests. There's a lot more problem solving than just like memorizing things. It's problem solving. And that's what we use math for.
Do you think part of the issue though is it's not assessed always the same way? I think that
is hard, and that's something I didn't push it last year, but I got a lot of training in how to play the ISAT game when we were at the CSI Up school. Jeff Harrelson said when I was going to be the principal, he's like, Maddie, you have like 30 years of training in like PDs because of CSI Up, because there was just a lot of training. And we did solution tree in there too. And so like this year, that's one of my goals, is to help teachers understand and know how to play the ISAT game, because they're very transparent about what they're asking. And it's why when they asked if we wanted to switch away from ISAT, I'm like, that would be such a waste of funds, because you just paid lots of people lots of money through the CSI program to learn the ISAT. Why would you switch it now that you're training people in how to prepare students to show what they know in that way? And so the way I feel about the ISAT is we're never going to be like these schools that don't have tons of low income, who have mostly white native English speakers we'll never compete with those schools and we shouldn't try to. It's great that our district is a welcome place for IEP students because we don't shove them in the closet. We integrate them as much as possible. We have something really good going on here that test scores don't show. But testing still matters. We still need to teach students how to prepare for tests because they are what stands between them and scholarships, between them and licensure. Like even if they don't go to college, trades, you have to know how to test even to get a driver's license. So we need to teach those skills. And I think we need to play the game as well as we can. But at the end of the day, be proud of what we're accomplishing in our classrooms. And I'm so proud of our students and teachers. They're working so hard.
Christy, what is your leadership team? They talked about anything on this?
Well, I actually, before, like, when you talked about it on Monday and us thinking about it. I'm not a huge fan of testing and I've been very open about that, but as this role, I've had to really say, okay, we've got to do a better job and what does that look like? And I really appreciate getting feedback from our leadership team, Mr. Guimar, who does a lot of data at our school. And I really think our English ELA score is really impressive, but my butt in that is I look at our kids that took the test last year and I've got 29 in a dual credit English and 32 in a dual credit history. You're gonna see classes ebb and flow. And so for me, a test score is a lot more than just like, what's the number? It's who is it? How are they testing? And one of the bad things at the high school is they only test the 11th grade year. And so last year we decided they go from 8th grade testing every year. And then we don't test them again until 11th grade. So last year we made 9 through 11 do the testing. And we set a testing time aside in the morning from 8 to 10. We had seniors working on senior projects and doing scholarships while our 9 through 11 tested. So my hope is that's where I want to continue to look like, how do we do this year? So the kids coming up, how are they doing? I also had some interesting discussion with Mrs. Bell, again, before I knew we were talking about this. Because Mr. Guimar does a really good job getting us data. Our math always seems to be lower than our ELA, and our science, like I'm intrigued, it is a little bit lower too. When we know that science is just a reading test, but they scored so well in ELA. So I want to see if giving the interim makes them more familiar before they actually do the ISAT testing in the 11th grade year, and there's some continuity of them taking the tests. But Mrs. Bell works so closely with the state. Math is changing, and my question is did, and I should know more, but I don't, has the ISAT changed with how math is changing? Because it's extremely collaborative. I mean, we're working with, like, Mrs. Bell's a hub of like teachers coming in and watching how math should be taught now. And yet our schools, they don't reflect that. We also have taken away the element that students have to take math their senior year, which makes it, whereas English, they take all 4 years. And so they're, you know, there's a lot of elements that connect to that. But I did love Mrs. Bell said that one of the people at the state level is connecting their math badging problems to ISAT questions now. So she's getting support from state level. And so I'm going to be really intrigued. And I told her, because one of the questions I had was, is this math badging helping our grades and our test scores and our kids being successful in math? And I love that they're even seeing, like, I got to start looking at how it's going to connect to the ISAT at the high school level. So I'm hopeful that the steps we're taking and we're actually even talking this year to do some practices before we even get to the ISAT. So, and we're going to run it through the core teachers classes because it's science, math, and English. And so we're hopeful that as we continue to help them practice, because a lot of times some of it is just very tests and they use them. So that's some of our goals that we've talked about, again, even before this came up. And so I was really glad to be able to say, like, we are addressing it, and I'm excited to see the scores. We have some new turnaround with teachers. But I love where we're headed with the testing.
Where do you feel the score? They don't make an ISAT for every grade, do they?
No, and so what they do, they have, it's called interim, it's SECA testing, I think, it's not interim.
What's that?
it's
What's the
SECA testing.
acronym?
Interim cumulative assessment.
So it's a short ISAT.
And so they get to practice that, and we can have them do it all year. Mr. Taylor was one of the best at like prepping when the sophomores had to take it, he spent a lot of time with it. I'm not a huge fan of that, but I like that we're keeping the familiarity with the test and also letting our teachers see their scores and talking about ways they can improve. And that's why I love that Mrs. Bell, like, they've been figuring out the badging, but they're working with state department people. And now they're starting to connect it to the ISAT. So I'm hopeful that we'll see our math scores maybe elevate, but maybe they'll even start looking at the test and saying, is this the direction we're going with the State Department in math? So maybe they'll even adjust the test to fit a little bit better. That's my hope.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions on ISAT scores?
What are you guys' opinions on? Because I think a lot of the scuttle, especially, I don't know about the high school as much, but in the elementary, it's these tests don't affect my grade. I don't need to put in my best effort. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna put recess.
So one of the things that I really liked at one of the literacy conferences that Shane and I went to together was one of the schools made it like a matter of school pride. They would show the students their results. And that's one thing that the very people taking the test, it's like we forget to mention to them the implications of the results. And they can still choose to, you know, not take it seriously. But like I've talked about having teachers, like with the Amira, the new iStation test, the new IRI, like let's put up a chart of here's how we did this month, and then chart from there. Here's how we did this month. Our average is going up, or oh, what just happened there? Our average flattened out. Showing the students visibly, here's where we're trying to head, and let's go for an upward trend so that it becomes competitive against themselves more than like against the state.
Right.
So that they can see. So we can do that with the SICAs as well, with the junior high, but also, and I regret this, we did like the year that my students did the very best on the ISAT was the year that I made them understand how important it was to do well. Like that was not to the point of like harassing them, but just like encouraging them to take pride in themselves and in our school, and also recognize that those tests don't just reflect on them, it's on their teachers that are working hard to try and help them learn. So please take them seriously. And I do think that last year we made a mistake with the junior high and having them just take it in their classrooms. In the past, we've taken them over to the ALC, and so that it seems like a bigger deal because it is a big deal. They need to get ready for college entrance exams. I used to be an admission counselor for the College of Idaho, and every school, every admission counselor, because we would travel together, had a chart. GPA on one side, test scores on the other side. This upper left-hand corner, that's who got the full tuition scholarships. Literally, that was it. And the reason why is because they want to look good in US News and World Report. That their incoming freshman class is freaking smart. That's why they do it. So we have to prepare students for this. Like, we can't just be like, well, our school didn't do so well. We can do better. And we just need to try. And there are some cohorts that just like have a lot of SPED kids and English language learners. They're never going to test high proficiency. But we still need to do everything in our power to help them learn how to test and show what they know in that way. But the more important thing is helping them know what they need to know. And that test doesn't always capture it,
Right.
but we still need to prepare for it.
So do you think it's enough to have the conversation ahead of time with the kids and to maybe put up the charts and say, FYI, this is where you scored and this is how we're doing, this is the trend? Is that enough, or do we need to go the route of having a remedial class for those that did pour on it? Okay, well now one of your classes every day is to come in here and we're gonna figure out how we can do better on this. Not as a punishment, but as you didn't take the test serious, now you're in this class.
At the high school level, it would be seniors who aren't even tested again if they don't pass. That's why we're hopeful. Testing time as well. Don't want to run out and get to their 11th grade year, but we want them to just continue to practice so they don't.
One consideration we could do though is we could look at those that didn't pass it in 8th grade.
Yes, we could, and we have a math And Shane actually brought that up the other day too. We have a math and a ELA credit recovery. And we did say that that might be a place where you could put kids who were scoring lower to have them do a little bit more practice. I'm kind of, so
I don't,
there are some kids, they just are never, like, it's not their thing, they will never come out of there. But when the first year that we did it, we talked about the kids that are on the bubble, that are just below proficiency and maybe just need a little bit more push and attention to help them recognize that they can do it, help them recognize the skills, help encourage them to slow down and just, take their time and get it right. I think one of the big things too is for teachers, we do this with 95%. We don't do it as well with iStation and ISATs. We take the SICA at the beginning of the year. Then we need to meet as a team and say, okay, who are our kids that are proficient? We know that they are probably going to test proficient again, and we can feel good about them. Who are our kids that are almost there? How can we focus on them, help them with their writing, their reading? But all the students should get those helps. The teachers need to be familiar with what those tests look like, because in every single subject matter, they could be helping people get better at these skills that they need. Every teacher, I'm going to have every teacher that does an ISAT take an ISAT, because you can do that on the assessment viewing application, because that in itself helps you be so familiar with the way the questions are asked and the things that matter most, which is which of these presumptions or is true, and how do you know that? It's finding details from the text, supporting it with details from the text. Main ideas, how can you figure out what this word means? That's the reading side. The writing, they're very clear with their rubrics on what they expect. And there's a marathon going on up there. Anyway, so I think using the data that we collect from the pre-tests and leading up to, talking to the kids about, here's how it works. Showing the schools, not just the teachers, but the students. Here's how we're doing. Like, we're 86ing the most important people in this whole thing, just hoping that, magically, whatever we've done, they're gonna just show up and do a great job, without truly helping them to understand what it is we're asking them to do and why it matters.
I think the only caution that I would have in this whole process is not losing sight. How do we actually measure learning? And are we pushing to try to get a score just to get a score? And that's the part where if it is only about the score, as superintendent, philosophically, I'm against that. Like, it is not what we want to do. And then there's a difference between teaching content and teaching skills.
And I think one thing that maybe historically we fail to remember sometimes with this testing, when it was required for graduation, I don't remember too many kids not graduating because they couldn't pass it.
But
to me,
to speak along those lines, though, that would have meant that we would have had 100% proficiency on this.
they had to keep retesting to try to get to proficiency, but there were exceptions, obviously, for kids.
Correct. At the end, they always had
They still tested them, and they still had to meet certain expectations to graduate. And so, for me, I think we continue, like, it's hard when our older kids especially, because they know, like, their SAT, ACT. That's why I love that Mr. Gimmer started putting their ISAT scores on their transcript.
Yeah.
Because in the state of Idaho, they're now saying you can get into college based on your ISAT scores, and we're promoting that. Because the older you get, the more motivation you have towards that until you get a little bit
Those are
older
the
and realize
things I
it's
think-
more about learning, but.
I think these other things are all great, not saying no, but I do wonder if we had, because that can be used as an entrance exam, I can get behind that because that's a fact.
Yeah.
Like, that's a fact that it is used as an entrance exam. I can't get behind saying that a better score means you're gonna be more successful, because there's nothing behind that. But we could tell our students in 8th grade, if you are not proficient on this, you are required to at least take this type of class at a different time, and that class can be on more of the test taking skills mixed with the functional skills of how to write a paragraph, how to write an essay, how to write, and is more practice with that. Those are my thoughts, and I know that's
So I
quite
think
different.
that when you started out with 95%, it wasn't like we're doing this to get high test scores. It was we want to help students know how to read. But then we got high test scores because they used, that is a good program. It's proven, research-based, proven to help. And then they just hit it really hard and did it really well. And also had some really good cohorts in there. And so it's both. We gotta make sure that they're learning what they need to know. But then we also need to include at least a portion of the piece of, and here's how the state is going to measure whether you learned it.
Well, and I don't think these are reflective at all, honestly. I think our kids, if they took it serious, these scores would be amazing. I think that's the piece we're missing.
Especially in that 8th grade class. Yeah.
I think this data here shows that
Attitude makes a difference.
attitude and motivation. When we move on to the other metrics, like let's move away from ISAT more towards IRI then. And so for our goals this last year, we had 2 areas that we actually met the goal. With kindergarten exceeded it. And then the 2nd grade went down a little bit. Again, there's a story to tell on the ones that might have gone lower. Now those bottom 2 are ISAT scores. That's why they're down as low as they are. When you look at like the 1st grade and the 3rd grade on why those went down, it tells a story. So I put together a different chart here to help out, and let me explain this because it is very helpful on this. So the spring test 2025, that column is all 25 data, all 24 data, if you can follow it in the 23 data. I have a cohort along the top of which graduating class that is. So when you look at last year's kindergarten, when you see 76.5 did excellent as a class overall, you can see that that is their score. When you look at where we fell below with the 1st grade and 60.5%, you can see if you follow that color up to their cohort when they were kindergartners, they were only at 46.7 as kindergartners. And then 1 year later, they were at 60.5. What does that tell you about
Our 1st grade teachers.
well, I was just talking about our programs. You can say teachers if you want, but also maybe
Yeah.
in the maturity of, there's lots of things that come into that. That tells you that they were doing things. But if you're looking just at 60.5 and you compare it to there, you feel like, and it's lower than the state, you're taking it out of context. You look at our 2nd grade, follow it up, growth every single time. Now you're gonna say, okay, great, you gave me 2 positive examples. You look at 3rd grade and it went down. Now, why? You also have to know the story of that's a class where we did in 2nd grade. We did have a bigger 2nd grade class because of the need to combine a class. That's part of the problem that we had at the school. We had to make FTEs fit and figure out where we had. So we had a split class and we had a large 2nd grade class. When that 2nd grade class moved to the 3rd grade the next year, we did have a handful of students who moved in that came from tougher backgrounds. And when you're in a small population, 3 or 4 kids will impact your overall scores. And so the smaller the number of kids being tested, the 2 or 3 kids, if they are lower proficiency, will impact the overall growth of everybody. I think it's just important to keep that in mind. And we did see that. That's just one thing that I did get a notice that we did have 2 groups that were identified for extra support from this last year's ISAT. So our ELA students for Tarleton Elementary will be, I hate using the word flagged, but they've been identified as a support in one. And the other one was Hamer Elementary for their ISAT scores. But again, you look at that, you take the number of students that are there. And if you have 3 or 4 kids that struggle or are in special populations, those scores are all gonna be counted towards that. And so that's where you say, you look at these measures going, okay, how are we doing as a district? How do we keep going? Even though we might be put into the news as, you're on the bottom of 25% of schools, congratulations. And that's where we're at with our test scores. So, but I think it's clear from this reading data here. I wish we would have gone up, but we did have, when you look at the 2024 data, we did take a dip. But when your kindergarten scores dipped that low, that brings down the whole thing. If they would have been up closer to the 60s, we would have been higher than the state average like we were in the previous 2 years. And so one thing that I am proud of is when we had those scores last year, we grew by 7 percentage points towards our goal. And that was more than what the state grew from theirs previously. They only went up 4.99%. We went up over 7. So we are stepping on that and going in that direction. I'm gonna keep going because there's a lot. Our 95% data, we know that with this test, when we test kids 1-to-1, they are learning the foundational skills. 93% of our kids met the foundational skills when we were teaching them in front. Our goal next year should be 94. I'm gonna keep cruising here and you guys stop me if you want me to. The next goal in section 4 was the kids to fill out the FAFSA. Again, this is a college and career goal that they have. They let us choose from 2 or 3. This one here pertains, I think, when I talked to Mr. Guimard, the best. We thought we were going to get 25 kids to fill it out, but we only had 18 fill it out. What we're finding is that some of those kids that choose to go on missions and aren't going directly into college say, I don't even want to fill it out right now. And so our goal this next year, where we have 60 kids in the class, we're hoping to get 30 of them to fill it out. So that's why those.
It's also got a lot harder for them to get approved because parents have to separately go in now instead of doing it all in one thing. They have to go in separately. He's really good at helping and showing that, but I think sometimes it doesn't become important until it becomes important for parents and kids sometimes.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's okay. Now I'm going to college, let me fill it out. Yeah. This last section here is just a narrative. If you have a chance to read through that later on, it really just summarizes a lot of the different things that I've seen and highlights the pros and the cons of the different areas. I did highlight out if you follow the cohorts, they show improvement on proficiency scores, but if you follow it from grade to like 6th grade against 6th grade against 6th grade, it doesn't always do that. I did talk about how the 8th grade class pretty much fell out of the sky from 7th grade to 8th grade on that, with other things. And so that's the continuous improvement plan for the board. And so
I will say, one of the things we did try this year was to make ISATs take up less time. Just make it a couple days, and we did it later in May, so that teachers would keep teaching and students would keep knowing that we're still here, because there's like an attitude shift that needs to be managed. But Mrs. Burtonshaw asked that we don't ever test the junior high that late in the year again. And that's something that we can definitely go along with. I also think that we need to make sure that the junior high gets tested in a different location. Because I felt like they did take it more seriously when that was the case. I don't know that we have talked about whether that's feasible to do with the younger grades to have test in the blue gym or something like that. But I don't know if that was as big an impact like on the younger grades. I do think that they try, most of them. But
Okay. Well, it's good discussion, good information. The chair will entertain a motion to approve the continuous improvement plan for 25-26.
Madam Chair, I so moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Those in favor? Okay. Any opposed? My motion passes.
Good job.
Yes, agreed.
Thank you.
Before we get to information, please need to take a break. The business will last 5 minutes. Yeah.
break. So recess. We don't have to do the student report. I'll just talk briefly on these policies. These policies might be good conversations.
Madam Chair, we are back from our recess.
Thank you, Mrs. DeGraw. Right, next item, we're on to information and discussion items. Is policy review.
Policy review, the first one is student-owned electronic devices in school. As we've talked about before, and also with our maintaining the learning environment. As of right now, in our policy, we do have it distinguished between the junior high, the 7th and 8th grade, and high school. All are able to have their phones during passing time. And I'm not sure, really just want to bring this up as we look at that. Is it something that we want to change? I know that we want to make it K-8 in this building over here, where phones are away the entire time during the day.
How big of a
Or-
problem are they?
And I guess that's part of the thing is the first couple days of school, I was involved on it when I was covering for Mrs. Erickson of an incident of people saying so-and-so's doing this, and it was all phone generated. I know we're kind of keeping tabs on it a little bit, but I also am curious to know if you hear anything as school board members. This is just a time to start a discussion. I don't have any specific verbiage or anything on this as of yet, but I'm just curious. And then Mrs. Erickson, do you have any thoughts as well? Like, on one hand, it's not a huge amount of kids. We know for sure the kibosh on 6th grade and below, we're very clear on that. What's been your observations the first couple of weeks of school?
I can only think of one incident of, where a student reported to a teacher that another student was taking pictures of them without their permission.
And it was outside, it would have been at recess, right?
I believe so.
It wouldn't have been inside of a restroom. We haven't.
No, we did have one incident of a student, actually 2 incidents of students with phones in their restroom, even though it says right on the door, no phones in the restroom. That is sometimes where they go to check them during class if they haven't turned them in. So we can't just hide it in the bathroom and be like, aha! And so it's based on another student reporting that student, and that student was a student that was on an IEP, and so I didn't do a disciplinary with that student. We just had a conversation. The other students, their phones were taken, who were reported to have their phones in the bathroom. And that happened twice, but those actually were middle school students, not junior high. So there was just that one incident that I'm aware of. I haven't had a lot of complaints about phones. That being said, I think that it needs to be a conversation with the community if we go to not having them at all. Partly because junior high students are more involved in like after school practices and things like that. And so I do think that they sometimes use their phones to communicate with their parents throughout the day, as well as, yeah, a lot of them game, but we don't have great things, like, we don't have a commons room. We don't have a gym specifically designated to where our students can, if they don't feel like running around outside on the playground. And Mr. Williams and I have talked about things like putting up a volleyball net or getting a 9-square cross net, things like that. Talked about doing walking track for everyone, like setting goals for walking. Like, I think we could have better solutions for recess for our older students, our junior high students specifically, because our hall is not huge. High school has a huge, like, lots and lots of space in halls that they can just chill if they don't feel like being outdoors. So sometimes they use their phones for entertainment. Yeah, sometimes they use their phone for entertainment at lunch, and that's the age that we live in. But that's kind of where we're at. Like, in past years, there has been big problems with bullying. It just depends, I think, on the.
Well, and I know, like, even so elementary, but like we can even ask the same question. In consideration of, should the high school be more restrictive? I know other schools are more restrictive on that. And I'm not saying that it's a good idea or a bad idea. And I like your thought of maybe we should ask parents what they think, but
Yeah, 'cause you're asking the wrong person. I am very opposed to them. I think they cause a lot of problems for kids and I tried my hardest as a parent. My kid just, the one that just graduated, just did Instagram and she can hardly figure out how to post and I'm like, I did my job, cause that's what I wanted. And I didn't allow her very often to take her phone to school, but then I had someone tell me, well, she's gonna be using it out in the road. So I started trying to see, but American Heritage is when we decided to do phones for them so they could capture that. So you're asking the wrong person. I don't know, I think their interactions with each other need to be entertained all the time because we also are finding, like, they need to be bored. They need to be, and I know in the junior high it's hard because they cause trouble when they're bored, but they need to talk to each other. They need to read. They need to go outside. They need, and I know high school has a little more freedom to roam, but so I don't know. I would love to know if parents would like us to do that. I don't know why they need them very often. Like sometimes they're a good tool in the classroom, so that would be the only thing that I like and teachers get a little nervous now since this is in, but I'm like, if you're using it as a tool, it can be a good tool. And you say, well, a Chromebook maybe or something, but a Chromebook doesn't always access some of the things that your phone can access. So I don't know. I would love to know if parents want us to be more strict there. I think our teachers, I've reiterated, make sure you're taking them, make sure kids have them put up.
Okay.
So, and they don't have a very long passing time. It's 3 minutes. So the only time maybe lunch is when they're on them a little bit more. But they're smart little people because they have found ways to access the stuff on their Chromebooks. So
There's no stopping kids from finding what they wanna find in this day and age. They can hack better than anyone and so, but they have to know how to navigate too. And use them.
You know, and with electronic devices, I do think our Go Guardian web blocker or monitor, it's very efficient and effective. Like
It is,
the teachers are able to see what each kid has on their Chromebook and so
and if they search anything.
searches or, and it's usually gaming. I would say gaming, we have more issues with kids wanting to game than maybe searching inappropriate things on school grounds. I think most of them are smart enough to know not to. I think the ones that do go in and search inappropriate things are just seeing if the filter actually works and reports back to their friends on whether or not they get caught. So,
I don't think there's a place for cell phones at all. In the elementary
yeah,
and junior high. High school may use them in classes sometimes. I don't know. I can see that happening.
it can be a tool.
But if you start asking parents what they feel like, you're gonna get 55 different answers. And I think we just have to make that decision. How do we want things to be, not how do they want it to be?
so I think we want, let's monitor the junior high stuff, especially with office referrals, different incidences and see, and if it starts to become something, let's revisit this policy. But I think that's just, I just wanted to have it for discussion, to open the
Because
dialogue.
we've heard a lot of complaints about cell phones. I'm surprised that's all she's heard, but I thought last year we were hearing just a lot of things about cell phones going on, and I thought it was a problem. You say it isn't, but
Well, I'm not saying it's not a problem.
Last year,
I'm just reporting on what I'm,
seen
this year, what I've seen.
yeah.
The year is young.
So
You just never can,
So
I never can predict.
is there anything right now for the junior high in place?
So they turn their phones in at the beginning of class, they're supposed to, and the teachers all have the bags that turn them on. And there were some teachers that were like, it's fine if they still have them last year. But what we explained, well, what Shane kind of explained in the district meeting is there's a lot of research about brain drain, and it even happens for us, like we keep all looking down at our phones. And the research says that it's 7 to 15 minutes before you can get your brain back on track to what you're supposed to be focusing on. So it's not just about not taking like calls and sending messages in class, it's about even that little vibration on your arm like derails your thought process and your engagement. So it's not just about them not having their phones out, it's about having them off of our person when we need to just lock in and learn. And so I think that the students, those that don't turn them in are sneaky, but most of them just turn them in and they're used to it and they just know that that's the rule, and that makes it easy, having a place for it to be and knowing that that's something that we do. In fact, Mr. Hall is even moving away from using the Chromebooks hardly at all because of ChatGPT and the things that like take away student effort, like genuine individual effort and work. He's doing a lot more just paper, pencil and stuff like that.
What about your elementary? Do they even have any?
No, they're not supposed to have them at all.
Okay,
And if
So
we see
you're-
them, we take them.
you're 5, 6,
Same.
same.
Yeah,
Okay,
so
so
pre-K
7, 8,
6 is nothing.
Yeah.
7th and 8th is passing times and lunch.
so
They
they
turn
have
them
a
in
lunch.
each class.
So lunch could possibly be a problem.
Lunch is probably where the picture,
And that's
Or the person
the
said-
incident, and I think,
is taking the picture,
yeah,
so. So, and I asked, it was Mr. Hall, if he thought that it was a big enough problem that we need to meet with the junior high and just like remind them of some rules of proper social behavior with electronic devices, and he said, well, I mean, I haven't heard enough of it yet, like if it comes to where we have multiple incidents, he's like, but I think most kids kind of know, you don't snipe people, they call it sniping for a reason, because you're not supposed to snipe people. And
When did that ever stop them?
I know, it doesn't stop them, but like, not gonna stop them from having phones either. Even though we say turn them in, not everyone does. And even though we say don't use them during class, sometimes people still do. So we could say turn them in at the beginning of the day, but incidents like what just happened with Charlie Kirk are the reason people want their kids to have phones. One of the reasons. Also, being able to get a hold of their kids is one of the reasons people want kids to have phones. Also, I wanna know where the crap my kids are. And through their phones, I can track them. So that might sound stalkerish, but I had a kid run away one night. And when my husband took away her phone, that scared the crap out of me, because I'm like, now I have no idea where she is.
Yeah.
So there's lots of reasons why parents want kids to have phones, but I think most of them would agree, not during class time. And not if they're going to be irresponsible with them, including bullying, like taking pictures of other people without their permission. I think education is important. I don't know.
that was the biggest concern that was raised when we initially put out the procedure for phones over here at the elementary level. There weren't a lot of parents, but there was one in particular that did say, I want my kid to have a phone in case of emergencies. And that's, I think that's what Amanda was alluding to when you said like an incident of things.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I would like to see some other options available for the older kids during lunch. Outside, like you were suggesting, I'd like to see if that would change their interaction. I think socially, they need more interaction with one another instead of zoning out on a phone. Everybody just stands around, they're all in the same
Yeah.
room, but they're not talking.
They might be texting each other.
Well, the problem is if
Because
you've
it's
got an
been
open
digital.
campus, then these kids can leave the campus and they really need the phone in case something happens.
Yeah. No, good discussion. I just want to start that. I don't need other one. The second one is a first reading. That we did change some wording for a first reading on, we're updating things from the 90s. Carrie, do you remember which paragraph that was on?
So it's not in there anymore. So what I realized is we had missed updating this policy when we were doing the 5,000 series.
Oh.
And so when we were going through our new employee packet,
Mhm.
I found that we were still in the 600s. And the policy stated what electronic email was, what the internet web
Was defining.
Yeah, like it was so outdated. And so to correct that, I've utilized as the model, the ISBA's model policy, and would just like you guys to review it, see if there's anything else we need to add, and then,
School districts have access to the World Wide
yes,
Web.
absolutely.
That's cool.
To take hold of
Electronic
Yes,
email
absolutely.
system, maybe. Okay.
Forget pigeons.
And then school board training, just I think we have,
I think it didn't work for that.
that one didn't work. So was there another one that we have a training for next week? Was that supposed to be on this one too?
It's on our
Down here.
calendar stuff.
That's down here, okay.
Yeah.
So this was just an FYI for school boards members that all the candidates that did turned in an application for running. This is what we gave to them. And again, it's just a brief overview of welcome school board candidates. One voice among five boards. You have one employee, that's me. Governance district versus management. So we wanted those people that were interested in running for school board offices to not be wanting to come to think, hey, I gotta go manage the football team now that I'm part of the school board. And so focus on students and community, legal and ethical responsibilities, working as a team. What the board does not do. And so this is just basic things that have come through training through that Mrs. DeGraw was able to help summarize and put on there. It's coming from the ISBA. We just wanted to have that out there for your information as board members. The school report card, I just wanted to highlight that school report card is available. I mentioned that that link is available. You can go in and look at the scores in different details. And we're moving on.
The superintendent's report earlier, so on the calendar, we have a couple of upcoming things. Do we need to have a special work meeting?
Not to my,
Not to my knowledge at this point in time.
Our next regular meeting will be October 8th at 12:30, 11:30 for executive session.
We could open that in the regional board.
that board barbecue should say the 18th, shouldn't it? I thought I changed that.
You did.
I did change it. It didn't. You saw me type that in.
I did. It's the 18th.
19th.
18th.
Oh, I'm on the wrong year.
Friday.
I pulled up the wrong year on my calendar, folks.
Ooh, that won't work.
No, it looked as busy back then than it is now. I pulled up September and it was like, well, so yes, the 18th. So the board, I'm gonna pull this one up. There is a training opportunity available next Tuesday night.
Our
or-
regions is in Sugar City.
That's the Sugar Salem Education Center. And so they do just, Quinn Perry from the ISBA did reach out to say if there's anybody going, she'd just like to know to make sure she's ordering enough food for everyone.
And she said she'd really like it if you guys can come because it's going to be really good. And she's excited for it and she was like, let me know if there's any way I can entice them to come.
I might come if there's food.
What time was, sorry, go back.
Sorry.
It's Tuesday night from 5:30 to 7:30 in Sugar City.
Should you invite? And won't that be a wrong way to do, or?
We can talk about it. Let's talk about it.
So that's the 16th.
Yeah. I don't see the. So did she give us a date to when to RSV?
I just told her I'd let her know after our meeting.
What time do you want us here for the barbecue?
10:45?
I don't know. Work to get set up. And if we can ask Nick to help us make sure we get stuff kind of help set up for the barbecue. He's always really good with we'll probably need that big grill. In the football field over here.
You're having hamburgers this
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, so we're gonna have to work this time.
Yeah,
it was
that's
ordered
work.
yesterday, so.
Right, we talked about homecoming week. That'll be a lot of fun. Get over at the elementary, some dress up days. Yes.
That was great, coming right up. Right after the barbecue. And then a bake sale for. So that's going on right now till.
how it's doing?
He's- He started his chemo and so far it's going okay.
Right. Well, the floor will be open for a motion to adjourn.
Madam Chair, someone.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
With the side I